Welcome to my new video, Sequence Activities. Sequence activities is the process which starts right after the define activities process. To take activities from activity list, from activity attributes and sequence them according to the project need. So all you need to work on sequence activities is that you must have your activities list present in front of you. For instance, you have identified the activities for your project or project deliverables from activity number A to H. For all activities cannot be started same time. It's not possible. So you will have to identify which activity will start first and which activities can be started after activity A or activity B or C. Look at in this example, we have activity A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. These activities are the output of define activities process. Whereas in define activity process, what we do, we take work breakdown structure dictionary and project scope statement that is called project scope baseline, and we further decompose our work packages into more manageable, more smaller components called activities. So we have identified our activities in this activity list from activity number A to activity number H. Once we find the successors and predecessors of your activities, this is how we prepare a network diagram. Look at this example where we have activity D and activity A will start on same date, whereas activity E can be started once activity D is finished. Activity F has two predecessors, D and A. It means this activity cannot be started if both activities D and A finishes. Similarly, activity G has two predecessors, E and F, and activity H is next to G and C is next to H, and N is reached when activity C and activity B are done. This network diagram is the output of sequence activities process. The first tool and technique in the sequence activities process is the first precedence diagramming method, PDM, which is a technique used for constructing a squaggle model in which activities are represented by nodes, boxes, and graphically linked by one or more logical relationship. Like here you can see E has relationship with D. It shows the sequence in which activities are to be performed. Activity on node is one method for presenting a precedence diagram. While creating the AON network diagram, four types of dependencies or logical relationships are used. For instance, this is called finish to start relationship. When activity A will finish, then you can start activity number B. This is called finish to start relationship. A finish to start relationship is a logical relationship where a successor activity cannot start until a predecessor has finished. For example, a car needs to finish being washed before you can start to dry it. Next is start to finish, a logical relationship in which a successor activity can start until a predecessor activity has started. For example, level concrete cannot start until pour foundation begins. So both activities will start same time. But one point must be remembered. Activity A will start first and immediately then activity B can be started. So this kind of relationship is called finish to start relationship. Next is finish to finish. A successor activity can't finish until a predecessor activity has finished. For example, writing a book needs to finish before you can finish editing it. So this one is your predecessor and this one here is successor. So this is called finish to finish relationship. Another very interesting relationship is start to finish. A successor activity cannot finish until a predecessor activity has started. For example, a security guard on morning shift has to start before the night shift guard can finish. These kind of relationships we use for process oriented work. Like in this example, I've said a security guard on morning shift has to start before the night shift guard can finish. So what is sequence activities? Sequence activities is the process of identifying and documenting relationship among the project activities. Activities are sequenced using logical relationship. Every activity and milestone except the first and last are connected to at least predecessor and one successor. Like in this example, start and end. End has no successor, start has no predecessor. So except start and end, each and every activity in your network diagram will have one successor at least and one predecessor at least. Like E has predecessor which is called D, G has predecessor E, G has successor H. So this is called network diagram. So every activity and milestone except the first and last are connected to at least predecessor and one successor. It may be necessary to use lead or lag time between activities to support a realistic and achievable project schedule. So let's talk about the inputs of your sequence activities. In this example, in sequence activities, you need in project management schedule management plan, because schedule management plan is the first document which is part of project management plan. A subsidiary document of it is needed because we have specified which processes of time management and what tool and techniques we are going to use in managing sequence activities or defining activities and working on this time knowledge area. You need a scope baseline. A scope baseline contains 3 documents: WBS, WBS dictionary and project scope statement, because detailed description will be given in project scope statement along with the work breakdown structure. So then in WBS, next step in project document is we take WBS and we further decompose into more manageable components. We have done it as well in define activities process group, whereas we produce activity list, activity attributes list and milestones list. And enterprise environmental factor, organizational process assets are the common inputs to all processes in project management. So let's talk about the tools and techniques of sequence activities process. We have 4 tools and techniques: precedence diagramming method, dependency determination and integration, leads and lags, and project management information system. So let's talk about in detail. This is called precedence diagramming method, where we have finish to start relationship, start to start relationship, finish to finish relationship, and start to finish relationship. In finish to start relationship, an activity must finish. Predecessor activity must finish before the successor can start. This is the most commonly used relationship. You must finish digging a hole before you can start the next activity of planting a tree. It's a very useful and common example of finish to start relationship. You must finish digging a hole before you can start the next activity of planting a tree. You cannot plant a tree without digging a hole. Next relationship type is start to start. An activity must start before the successors can start. Example, you must start designing and wait for 2 weeks lag in order to have enough of the design completed to start coding. Finish to finish relationship, an activity must finish before successor can finish. You must finish testing before you can finish documentation. This is an example of finish to finish relationship. And start to finish, an activity must start before the successor can finish. Like a security guard on morning shift has to start before the night shift guard can finish. Next tool and technique is called mandatory relationship, discretionary relationship, and external dependencies. In mandatory dependencies, this is by nature. Two activities are dependent on each other by nature, and mandatory dependencies is inherent in all nature of work being done. You must design before you can construct, or is required by the contract, or you must finish digging a hole before you can start the next activity of planting a tree. This is an example of mandatory dependency relationship. Discretionary relationships are also called soft dependencies. Both activities can start on same date, but due to lack of resources, our project management team or project manager has decided that we will start our activity number B once activity A finishes. It's called discretionary dependency. Both activities, activity A and activity B, can be started on same date and time, but the team has decided that they will start activity B once activity A finishes. This is an example of discretionary dependency. These are soft dependencies that reflects how the team anticipates the work will be completed, how the team team decides how the work will be completed. It is not by nature, it is not dependent on each other by nature, but team has decided that we will complete activity A, then we can start activity B, because same resources, for instance, are working on activity A and B. So how the team would like the work to be completed. These type of dependencies enable the team to optimize the flow of work throughout the project life cycle. Most importantly, soft dependencies represent the tool that the project manager utilizes to create flow in the schedule. This is much more effective manner to drive the timeline than hard coding dates into schedule. This activity will happen at same time as another group of activities. And external dependencies, these are that are outside of control of the project team, but nonetheless must be reflected in the project schedule. These activities are called external dependencies. In leads and lags is another common tool and technique of sequence activities. A lead may be used to indicate that an activity can start before its predecessor activity is completed. For example, coding might be able to start 5 days before the design is finished. A lag is inserted waiting time between activities, such as needing to wait 3 days after pouring concrete before constructing the frame for the house. So when we will be working on making network diagram, we can easily assign leads and lags between different activities, and we use different softwares like Project and Primavera for this purpose. Do not forget, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Thank you.